165 bosses. So what number do you think the amount of Elden Ring enemies is? I lost count, but I can say this with confidence. If you include variations, the number is well above 1,000. Look, the video is going to be insanely long, so the intro is going to be just this. Kilroy is here to low drop on every single enemy in Elden Ring, bosses and mobs alike. I'm simply going to talk about them extensively, as much as possible. But the bigger the lower a boss has, talking about the legends, you know them, they're just gonna get one-liners at best. They all have multiple hour-long videos out there already, so I'm going to focus on the little guys, the mobs mainly, the field bosses as well, and some great bosses. But everyone's going to get a mention at least. Let's start with dragons. This will surely have higher viewer retention. Also, check out the other dragon video I made. So, ancient dragons. They had or have, you know how Farum is like. Gravel stones as scales and could or can summon red lightning. Like all of them. Dragon Lord Placidusax, the first true Elden Lord, he ruled from Farum, but when Grand Sax attacked Lindel, war erupted. The war ended with Liege Dragon Fortisax befriending Godwyn the Golden. This resulted in a dragon cult being born. Ancient dragon Lanciax was Fortisax's sister. She took human form to commune with the cult and taught them ancient draconic spells. These do not require dragon communion, by the way, and fell in love with Vike. She is probably still in Altus because she doesn't know about Vike's frenzy. These ancient Farum dragons are the ancestors of the modern dragons. Both are different physiologically, and the modern ones cannot summon lightning. Graal is the biggest modern dragon we know of, even bigger than most ancient dragons, only falling short of Grand Sax. She is hailed as the mother of all dragons now. The lesser dragons around her are quite lessers, as they cannot even fly yet. Along with their mother, these escaped the Scarlet Rot and made a nest, the nest being named Grail's Dragon Barrow. But Grail, who is found near her and might be her child, can actually fly, and that's about it. Agheel is completely similar to Grail, but it has somehow become a symbol of worship. The nobles in Agheel Lake, who have lost sight of grace and are slowly going insane, pray that Agheel burns them till true death sweetly embraces them. The Glintstone dragons are modern dragons, imbued with glintstone obviously. All of them are probably in service of Ranni the Witch. Smaragd and Adula are two named ones. Smaragd is a devourer of sorcerers, whose body gradually became corrupted by the glintstones of those sorcerers he ate, and guards a corpse holding the Academy Glintstone Key, likely on Ranni's orders. Adula is the same, but there is actual evidence that Adula is actually Ranni's servant, becoming so after being bested by her. Ixyx was known as the Dragon Communion Revenger. It did not forget his hatred towards those who consumed dragon hearts, even after being inflicted with the rot. Borealis is one of the former lords of the mountaintops, whom the fire giants chased away. He comes back after the fire giant genocide. Magma Wyrms were once humans, but got too much into dragons. A total of 4 can be found. Of the 4, Theodorix is the only one who gets a little lore. He was an ancient troll warrior, a hero of the war against giants, but as usual partook too much in dragon communion and became a worm. But it sucks that he doesn't have any unique troll-like features or attacks. Also, Makar was initially known as Makal. I find it very funny. Dragonkin Soldiers were born in the Eternal Cities. They never knew true lightning, so wields ice lightning instead, which is at least equally cool. They never achieved immortality and perished as mere imitations. Spectral ones appear in the snowfield, so maybe they perished here. The ones we fight are probably reanimated corpses, signaled by the hollow insides and patchworks. Who reanimates them, I have no clue. So another creature of Nocturne and Noxtella, Silver Tears were created by the Eternal Cities in an attempt to forge their very own lord. Alas, they cannot mimic a lord. Well, they can mimic us. But they can mimic regular Noxmen and Trolls. These are called Mimic Tears. As for lesser versions, the Silver Tears can be spiky, husky, electric and a giant massive iron ball. They are deemed as a mockery of life, doomed to be reborn again and again only to imitate. Claymen are former priests, searching for revelation in service of the ancient dynasty. But it seems that they haven't noticed yet that their dynasty is long gone. The Ancestral Followers worship the subscribe button. Well, because they know that hitting that bell will allow them to be notified about my next videos, about Elden Ring, Souls-like games and any games at all really. I have just reached over 100 subs. I love all of you by the way, and those who have not subscribed yet, do join the journey of me becoming, well, I don't know. Just hit that button and let me be your background noise. Let's reach 200 subscribers by May. Okay, the Ancestral Followers worship the ancestor spirits and harbor the belief that these spirits grow from horns of long-lived beasts, like birds. So they await for this birth away from the Erdtree. So they are not actually like the original citizens of the Eternal Cities. They're sort of like immigrants. Also, they have thrown away metal and paper but still hit insanely hard with animal parts. And the shamans use infant skulls? What the fuck? No explanations for corporeal and ethereal forms. My theory is that they are becoming ancestor spirits themselves. Oh, a legend was not talked about that much. I wonder why. The ancestor spirits follow the principle that life can also derive from death. The difference between the regal and non-regal spirits might be simply the length of time since their deaths, or the beast was a king or something, I don't know man. I hate copy-paste bosses, both gameplay and lore-wise. People, including me, have to pull logic out of their asses to make their existence possible. And as we all know, the star's Radahn was continuously stopping our actual beasts. The Fallingstar beasts are the larvas. Full-grown Fallingstar beasts have greater magical capabilities and have a similar skull, that of Astal. Malformed stars are the cocoon stage. Astal is the final form. Although unsure if this Astal was the one or not, probably no, but one such falling star destroyed an eternal city by crashing into it, possibly the nameless city in deep-root depths. It is weaker than Astal, stars of darkness. A logical aspool is that Astals are common where they come from, like Guzzlords and Ultra Beasts from Pokemon. A horrible beast to our eyes, but just a, Shiba Inu in their homeworld. Instead of getting utterly destroyed, some chose to take life from falling extraterrestrial objects. Alabaster Lords are a race of ancients with stone skins risen to life from a struck meteor. They have gravity powers and wield swords made from blue-white meteoric ore. Radahn learned gravity magic from one of them in Celia. They use a greatsword, and Onyx Lords use golden, curved greatswords and meteorite sorcery. That's about the only differences, though they are darker as well. The Onyx Lord in Royal Grave Evergel was originally called Alabaster Lord. Since there are no boss Alabaster Lords now, it would not be wrong to assume that Onyx Lords are deemed superior. Starcallers are gravity sorcerers. They have some sort of relation with Alabaster Lords. They are essentially meteorite scavengers, and Starcallers are what they name themselves. School of Graven Mages happens when you do what Sullen does. Death at the hands of Witch Hunter Drennan would have been better in my opinion. Or just running away with me to live out a peaceful life would have been better. Like, look at this, man. There are so many grotesque creatures in Soulsborne games, but this is like one of the top ones that I do not ever want to become. Anyways, you get too obsessed and close to the primeval current and you end up like this. Some people have the notion that Rani or Renala did this to Sun, but no, this is simply nature. Crystalians might be an actual race, but the fact they are inorganic and the fact that they themselves believe they are a construct is a strong argument against that. They cleave very close to the ideals of the primeval current and thus are regarded as guests by the sorcerers. Their cognition is known as the wisdom of the stone, and they bear the sole purpose of safeguarding their crystals until the very end. Some believe they await the return of the Creator, who will craft them new brethren. They use crystal magic and weaponry, namely spears, staffs, and ring blades. Very cool, by the way, hope it's in the DLC, which are humanly impossible to create. Some of them are putrid in Elfile. Technically, they're unique in the way that its stance damage doesn't recover until fully broken. And through sorcery, or maybe not, Marionette soldiers were created in Rea Lucaria to serve sorcerers but are now on the verge of falling apart. Avionette soldiers are simply marionette soldiers with avian futures, although they like to stand still a lot. Trolls are descendants of giants, but they betrayed their ancestors in the war against them and fought on behalf of the Erdtree, yet they are usually enslaved. Sometimes a stake is put through their hole to drag caravans. They can be found frenzied as well. In the mountaintops, trolls can be found using golden swords. Although usually seen as lowly creatures, Renala treated the trolls as true knights and called them into service through an ancient oath. These carrion troll knights have great swords embedded with glintstones. One of such knights is Balls, who is imprisoned in Kaku's Evangel because he is a knight of carrion royalty, who the Kakus went to war against. Your usual trolls seem to have lost their minds but still stay inseparable from their swords that are in, sad shape. Two particular trolls, dubbed as Stone Diggers, wield the Troll's Hammer, a ceremonial smithing tool. In the distant past, it was considered divine. EG uses it as well. Another huge group of enemies is Golems. Golems are gigantic constructs created to protect and guard, like usual, but this time their creators didn't seem to have the budget to schedule them leg days. Their weapons are crafted from black stone, crafted by a civilization long gone to ruin. They have halberds and great balls, though the one in Caelid has a magic imbued halberd. The Divine Breach Golem is often confused as a boss due to its positioning and the fact that it does not respawn, but it is not a boss. More artificial constructs are the Gargoyles. Gargoyles in the lands between are mended with corpse wax, patchwork of champions. All of them use dual weapons. The valiant gargoyle duo we find in Noxtella are somehow sickly, even though it is of magical construct, thus are poisonous. There are some non-boss variants, but none of them respawn except the one in Lindel. The broken statues found in Lindel protecting key roots are seemingly broken down gargoyles. Black Blade Kindreds are gargoyles mended with black corpse wax and serve Malekith. They can use powers of the Rune of Death thanks to their master. One guards Malekith and the other one guards the Grand Lift of Rold, so none may pursue the Rune of Death. More constructs. Imps are statues with cat or wolf heads given life. Some of them are fanged or long-tongued. They exclusively infest catacombs, so they might have been made to protect them under secrets, as they are not exactly life forms. Similar living statues are the Erdtree burial watchdogs, said to command the Imps. They protect the graves of those who are given the honor of an Erdtree burial. Many variants of this exist. Their swords are decorated with the Watchman's Eye, but the pupils have been stolen by afflicted grave robbers. Their staffs are able to cast ancient sorcery. They are battered and broken after a long tenure of unpaid internship. Interestingly, the Frost Watchdogs are always mobs, and the Lightning ones always a boss. Additionally, hitting Imps and Watchdogs with crystal darts cause them to go into a maddened state. Cemetery Shades are mostly ambiguous, formless, dark creatures. They are insect-ridden gravekeepers of the catacombs. Just Chariots, not the flame ones, are the things that you sometimes find in catacombs. Peculiarly enough, these are only found in heroes' graves, 3 in total. They probably are not organic, just machines with a statue riding it on top. If you did not know, these guys can be destroyed. Grave Warden Duelists are former gladiators who were exiled from the Colosseum. As for how they ended up as Grave Wardens is not mentioned, but I assume they simply needed a job. The bronze armor they wear is adorned with snakes, which are dubbed to be traitorous to the Erdtree, meaning in a Colosseum fight, the audiences loved to see them get beaten to a pulp. They are said to attack with frenzied favor, but then they are not frenzied, though one is actually frenzied and one is putrid. Mad Pumpkin Heads are also former gladiators who are broken inside and has been driven mad. They are made to wear pitch black helmets not only to keep them from panicking but also to alleviate feelings of pressure and claustrophobia. I really wonder how that works. They are sometimes seen carrying standard banners. They are easily agitated by bloodshed or the humming of insects. They are also enraged when woken from sleep, understandably. One boss protects Selen's room, might be her slave, which that were me, blah blah. The duo boss in Kaiden ruins have their weapons on fire, possibly because of the fire monks or just to keep the rot away. Yes, Scarlet Rot. Kindred of Rot are insectoids from the swamp of Aeonia, also known as pests. They are the forsaken servants and unwanted children of the goddess of Rot, but they still worship her. What kind of Stockholm Syndrome this is, I do not know. They also worship Melania and even Millicent and even her sisters as eventual replacements. It's probably copium, but they believe that they were sent to distant lands to spread rot, then return home with glory. Servants of Rot are mutated humanoids wielding powers of rot, found in caves and rotted areas, like the Imps of Melania, like Marais. Oh yes, Marais. I actually got to know this guy's lore for the video. I knew about Elemer though. Elemer is one of the coolest bosses in the game, hands down, by the way. When a ranking video comes eventually, my thoughts will be reflected. Anyways, Elemer of the Briar is also known as the Bell-Bearing Hunter and has hunted numerous instructors and merchants. He steals their bells, but does not permanently kill anyone, so not that much of a bad guy. The thing with Marais was just a villain origin story, I guess. Elemer is from Eochaid. The telekinetic sword skills are from his homeland. During his execution, he snatched his own executioner's sword and took over the Shaded Castle and killed almost all of the Marais family, the executioner family appointed in Shaded Castle. Curiously, some bell-bearing hunters are somehow stronger than their original version. Marais is the lord of the Shaded Castle. He is one of the only survivor of Elemer's sack. He secretly worships the Scarlet Rot and Melania, becoming obsessed, though for logical reasons actually, not for simping reasons. Like, I get it. The Marais bloodline is very sickly, thus Malay admired Melania, who despite her affliction remained strong. The state of Shaded Castle as it is now reflects his shifting ideals, as the halls of the castle is filled with prostheses, clean wrought armor and even a giant portrait of Melania. Okay, there might be some simping reasons. Of those Elemer hunted, Nomads probably constitute a large number. Nomads have a really fucked up story. Kale has a cut questline which I think should have been in the game 100%, so go check that out. Nomads once thrived as the Great Caravan, now one Kale 6, but they were accused of heretical beliefs and the entire clan was rounded up and buried alive in the shunning grounds, even beneath Omens. This belief was related to the frenzied flame, and through their suffocating, claustrophobic isolation, the Nomads chanted curses of despair against the Golden Order and the Erdtree and summoned the actual flame of frenzy. Another race shunned by the Erdtree are the Misbegotten. The Misbegotten are malformed beings punished for making contact with the Crucible, the primordial form of the Erdtree. More on that in the next bit. They were usually looked down upon and employed as slaves, like at Castle Morn, but the slaves here rebelled and a Leonine Misbegotten took over the castle. A Leonine is just a Misbegotten with more prevalent lion-like features. Castellan Edgar retook the grafted blade greatsword from him with our help, but because of his ignorance, his daughter Irina died. Edgar goes completely mad, possibly even en route to being frenzied, and invades us. There is a Misbegotten warrior with a Perfumer, and one with a Crucible Knight. Another one, dubbed Misbegotten Crusader, somehow came into the possession of the Golden Order Greatsword, Sacred Sword of Radagon, originally a sword gifted by Renala. Basically, he threw away his extra stuff. This one may be fighting to remove the heretic tag from Misbegottens, so all Misbegottens have red hair like Radagon because they're supposed to be his children. Evident by the game files, yeah, Radagon and Elden based, their entry is this line. Also, if you wanna copy paste shit, do it like Misbegottens. Leonine Misbegotten and Crusaders are excellent bosses, have enough difference in lore, design, combat, everything. Perfumer Tricia is the one with a Misbegotten warrior. Perfumers were once respected apothecaries before the Shattering. They were especially revered in Lindel, but the war caused the spread of their arts, so no more market control. Depraved perfumers use spices to alter their bodies and minds. The depraved ones' aprons also have intertwining serpents, a symbol of cursing upon the Erdtree. Perfumer Karman was particularly strong as a hero. Usually perfumers healed higher class people, but Tricia healed all, even a Misbegotten warrior, deemed impure, and struck an alliance. The first Omenkiller was a perfumer. Omenkillers hunt omens. Wow. They wear helmets with twisted horns because they resemble the evil spirits omens see in nightmares. They also wield paired cleavers affixed with severed omen horns. Talk about being a hater, huh? Their source of hatred is never mentioned though. The aprons they wear are not related to omens. They were to imitate Rolo's god. One Omenkiller is found in the village of Albinaurics, possibly one of those responsible for the massacre of its inhabitants on the orders of Gideon. It has 3 dogs and wields cleavers. What does it remind me of? There is also one boss in the Perfumer's Grotto, alongside a Miranda. This guy is probably trying to learn more about Rolo. Omens are cursed beings born without the grace of the Erdtree. Their appearances vary depending on the strength of the curse. Excised omen have had their horn brutally cut, a process which not many babies survive. They are usually in the shunning grounds or treated as slaves elsewhere. Omens born into nobility are especially sent to the shunning grounds. 2 omen twins guard Morgoth and Mog's divine tower, and wield similar magic to them, definitely not just copy-paste. Sewer Mog is an illusion, either placed by Mog or Morgoth, as letting the 3 fingers escape won't do any good to any of them. Possibly this is Morgoth's illusion, as he already has a track record with his father Godfrey's Golden Shade. Mog has an extensive and very sus lore, of course. He follows the Formless Mother and the Accursed Blood. Vare and the Nameless White Masks are his followers along with the Bloody Fingers. The White Masks were all war surgeons, or Mercy-Killers, and were abducted by Morg to tame the accursed blood. But only Marais was able to do so, because he is apparently built different. Like, this is what is actually written. Fucking asshole. There are also sanguine nobles, and Invader 1 is more like an NPC, dual-wielding Reduviers, and has a sick Morgwin dynasty tattoo on his face. These nobles serve Morg both as assassins and missionaries, and bear elaborate designs on the shoulders to signify their noble rank. Esger is one such priest, who is in Lindell catacombs with his 2 dogs, possibly sent to fetch Morg's shackles. Now, the other twin, Morgoth's lore is quite known, so let's talk about the Knights Cavalry. Morgoth acted as Margit and gained notoriety for killing Tarnished and protecting Lindell and Stormville, but he also was the commander of the Knights Cavalry. They are only mentioned as Deliverers of Death. There are 9 of them, and obvious not to the Nazgul, so why there is no unique Witch King of Angmar boss fight, I don't know. Oh yeah, Dung Eater, yeah, he seeks to make everyone an omen. Of course, the Erdtree shunning doesn't stop here. Albinaurics are man-made creatures. As a result, they are deemed unholy. The first generation, although human-like, took an arrow to their knees, their legs sometimes even disappeared. That's why they tend to ride stuff, especially dire wolves, and practice archery. Some also have mastered sorcery with the help of their innate arcane nature. Some of them can spew poison, possibly fed something as a method of torture. Few are bound to walls to act as lookouts in Castle Sol, and can manifest, exile soldiers and banish night spirits to help defend the castle. Some are forced to wear the black dumpling as torture, but it makes them slightly more powerful. The second generation of Albinaurics are smooth-skinned frog-like people, although they can masterfully use their legs. They use primitive weapons, although the red ones in Morgwin Palace have better gear and are stronger. Yes, the farming spot ones. They have sworn fealty to Morg because Morg probably promised them a place in his dynasty or something. They can also summon giant skeletons. Although shunned by the Erdtree, some Albinaurics have been somehow blessed with golden eyes and can use Discus of Light. So Gideon after exterminated them because they had one half of the Helictree medallion. Ensha of the royal remains invades you for said medallion. Not gonna talk about Gideon to a full extent, but Ensha probably is a former lord. The bones of his armor are from an ancient lord at least, dubbed the Soulless King, the Lord of the Lost and Desperate. This guy was known as Ensha. So our Ensha either is the Lord himself or stole his identity. Other than that, he is just an arrogant servant of Gideon. Even more shunning, but not necessarily by the Erdtree this time. Demi-Humans are small and bestial creatures who are more aggressive at night, but they are capable of negotiation, evident by the alliance with Kenneth Height, although they might have invaded Fort Height because the dead body of their queen was kept there. Might be a trick of Kenneth, to be honest. They have hierarchical societies. You have Bok, normal demi-humans, chiefs, and then queens. They use a variety of weapons, and the queens can even use magic. The chiefs walk on 4 legs. If killed, others will panic. The chiefs of Bok's clan held his mother's sewing tools. There are 3 named demi-human queens: Gillica in Lux Ruins, Margot in Volcano Cave, and Maggie in Hermit Village. Maggie somehow struck an alliance with Raya Lucaria to give her a staff, and in exchange that she would protect Azur's resting spot along with other sorcerers. Vulgar Militiamen are small creatures who were scorned throughout the lands between, thus they ganged up to make a living. They serve the freshly signed battleground, fusing with the stretch of the dead. They act as untiring unsung watchkeepers of these forbidden lands. I do not know what the fuck any of this means. Because of this way of living, they suffer public shame. Some of them are also aligned with Malekith. The commoners are commoners, and time for more shunning. Lower class citizens have lost their wits. They wear a self-imposed shackle to show allegiance to the Erdtree. Some of them have gone frenzied. Some are somehow necromancers, some are imprisoned and battered in volcano manner, some death sims can use Fierce Mist. And speaking of death, skeletons are part of those who live in death. Skeleton mages are aged gravekeepers who tend the forgotten graveyards. There are also skeletal militiamen and bandits. They all have different drip. There are some golden ones who are not weak to holy and spew magic gas when gliding. How are these created? Some are beastmen. The ones in catacombs are your basic soul skeletons with no drip. Tibia mariners are leaders of those who live in death, each carrying a death root. They can summon big as skellies. They were initially known as Bone Beckoner Mariner. This name is quite dumb, right? Worm faces are found in altars and Faramazula. They can be clothed or not. They might be the corpses buried in catacombs connected to the Erdtree roots, who were in process of becoming one with them but got interrupted by death root, thus able to inflict death now. When there was no Erdtree, death was burned in ghost flame and death birds were keepers of that fire. Death ride birds can use magic while death birds cannot. Raven mount assassins worship them. Death birds are graveyard firekeepers, said to take out the ashen remains of the dead from their kilns. All are said to be offspring of the twin bird, an envoy of an unknown outer god similar to the Elden beast. Through the ancient act of the rite of death, priests of old were permitted to come inside the death birds and become the guardians, like literally getting inside. An act which serves as an oath sworn to their distant resurrection. So they predate Godwin's death, right? But they are still part of those who live in death. This can mean that this shit existed long before, was waiting for a vassal in the shape of Godwin, or plot hole. Putrid Corpses are whatever their name suggests. Not. Who the fuck named them this with all the scarlet rot around? They can be scarlet rotten, yes, but not all of them are. They can be regular corpses, maggot infested, magical burning, bleed inflicting, and mushroom infested. They are seemingly not that different from your usual undead, but lore suggests they are yet to die a true death. So they are not part of those who live in death, I think. Revenants are a grotesque amalgamation of limbs. They have an arachnid body structure and the face of a human, much like a grafted scion. It possesses many grafted limbs, taken from diseased humans. My theory is that Godric was inspired from these Revenants. Revenants are capable of traveling through portals created with an unknown magic. A royal Revenant is encountered in the King's Realm ruins in Liurnia, guarding the frozen needle forged by E.G. So this Revenant might be in the service of Carian royalty. Wraithcallers worship them. They are similar to Revenants design-wise but less extreme. Possibly they grafted limbs themselves and were ordinary humaners at first. They are also seen to mount almost skeletal horses. If you did not know this already from the other 300 YouTubers, Hills heard these guys. Also, confusion whether they are really part of those who live in death or not. I seem to have run out of transitions. Let's see who's left. Yeah, got an idea. Similarly grotesque ones are Finger Creepers. Finger Creepers are born out of an ancient act of blasphemy, thus hangs around such places like Mount Gelmir and Karya Manor. Those who bear rings can cast spells but eventually outgrow them. They are all weak to flame, and Yoshikage Kira is weak to them. Okay, no more transitions. Abductor Virgins or Iron Virgins are created by Rykard, possibly to protect Renala but also to capture people and interrogate them. All of them have or had the ability to transpose, but lack of maintenance has caused this ability to go away, so they can only constrict people now. The ones below Realukari Academy still work though. They come with wheels, scythes, or sometimes both. The duo boss fight has one of each. Curiously enough, a headless variant can be seen in the village near Mount Gelmir and shows erratic behavior. meaning its head holds the code or whatever. Inquisitor Giza, an ancient of Volcano Manor, has modeled his weapon, Giza's Wheel, after the wheels of these virgins. The god Devouring Serpent devoured a demigod and gave birth to Man-Serpents. I do not know how that works, and it's unknown if both the serpent and the demigod are the ones we fight. Man-Serpents can be mages as well. Oh yes, Rykard. Abnormal stone clusters or lookout stones have no official description at all. They are found either crawling or standing around Evergels, so many suspect they are the guardians of Evergels, or lookouts, or the very power sources, as Evergels are kind of a mystery. But far away from this, in Kaelid, some literally cluster together to give you an explosive welcome. Kaiden Sellswords are mercenaries who seek to be employed as protectors. They are from the northern mountaintops, not necessarily the mountaintops of the giants, and they are, guess what? From a village called Kaiden. Erdtree Guardians are reborn as protectors of the Erdtree through an ancient pact. They have branches in their backs. Some of these branches have fully bloomed. They can be usually found around Erdtree avatars. Erdtree avatars emerged in the wake of the Shattering to protect minor Erdtrees. The miners only know of mining. That is why they are hostile to anyone who ventures in their mines. Glintstone miners use stone digger sorceries. Azula beastmen are all from Farum Azula, but few have found their way into the lands between. Due to Farum Azula's destruction, they are not in the best shape. Lightning-wielding beastmen who are chosen to guard Placidus Axe. All of these beastmen are insatiably hungry, evident by the corpses of the Godric soldiers around one boss, and so is beast Clergyman, who is hungry for Deathroot. And Malekith, Blackbeard, Shadow to Marika, Rune of Death, blah blah blah. Also, Rykard was given the Blasphemous Claw by Rani to combat Malekith but never got to use it. After all the mostly depressing lore, let's end with a happy note. With my bro Alexander's race. Living jars are brought to life by human flesh and blood. Okay? But they're normally kind and even have a peaceful enough village. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. They attack you because they perceive you as a threat, and rightly so. Their body fragments have magical value and cost a lot, so poachers target them. Why does everyone have to be sad or insane? They are little jars, exploding soul jars, and warrior jars. The warrior jars contain remnants of warriors, and they pass these innards from jar to jar, passing along their dreams of greatness. The great jar warrior is just there to test you. Well, that didn't go well, so let's end with these round boys actually. Oracle Envoys are monstrous band of musicians. Their tunes are said to herald a new god or a new age, thus found in Lindel and the Halictree. Their faces are hidden with cloth, but faint whimpering can be heard from the inside. Yeah, I'll just forget about that. Now, cue some music, boys. That's it for today. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and do subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about the next part. Comment down below if I misstated anything or just drop some theories. I wanted to make a boss ranking, but with the DLC coming out, yeah, that would have been obsolete. Anyways, thank you for watching till the end. Goodbye and have a nice day.